Hello friends, welcome to our channel KEKULE'S. Today we are going to discuss the mole concept. To continue with the mole concept, just take a look at a simple thing. If a person, just understand this simple thing. If a person migrate from one country to another country, he or she must have to learn the language of that country to communicate with the people. If he or she is not able to learn that language, so it is not possible to stay there. Similarly, when we talk about the chemistry, when we read chemistry, we have to follow some rules and regulations. We must have to learn the language of chemistry so that we can understand the chemistry. Similarly, mole concept is similar to language of some new country. We must have to understand, we must have to follow the rules to learn the mole concept. I am going to summarize the different relationship in terms of mole concept. After, you will have to learn that summary by pausing a video in between. After that, you are able to solve the numericals of any kind. Let's talk about the mole concept first. Just a little interview regarding mole concept, little introduction with the mole concept. After that, I will summarize, I will draw that relationship, and you are able, what you need to do, you need to cram that, you need to learn that as a language of another country, as a language of chemistry. You will have to learn that, you will have to learn that summarized table. So what does mole concept means? Mole concept basically, in the earlier times, its Latin name is pile of stones. But with the passage of time, the term mole is used in the chemistry that denotes the pile. That pile means number of atoms, maybe molecule, maybe ion or electrons, or maybe etc. The mole is basically very much similar to that of dozen. As we know that the dozen represents the 12 articles. A dozen represents the 12 articles. They may be apple, oranges, pen, pencil, books, etc. In the similar manner, mole represents this much amount of atoms. When this much amount of atoms are placed together, this much amount of particles, which may be atom, molecule, ion, electron, are placed together, we called this term as 1 mole. We called this term as 1 mole. So often called as chemist dozen. So we often called as chemist's dozen. There are number of ways to define the different relationship in terms of mole concept. Here is a table, here is a summary that defines the different relationship of mole concept. How to read this summary, how to learn this summary, just take a look. When this much amount of particles get together, we called as 1 mole, or 1 mole is defined as this much particles, or 1 mole defined as this much particles. Okay, when we are having the 1 gram mole of compound, if I am having a CaCO3, we call this one as compound, and what's its mass is? Its mass is 100 gram. Its mass is 100 gram. So this is a part of compound having mass of 100 gram. So how we can represent this? We can represent as, this one is gram molecular mass is equivalent to 1 gram mole. 1 gram mole. From now onwards we call it as that a gram molecular mass is equivalent to 1 gram mole. This one is the 1 gram mole of compound. What is given over here is 1 gram of mole of CO3. This one is the actual language. This is the understand. This is the new language. We have to just cram in this way. From now onwards, if a teacher write 1 gram mole of CO3, CaCO3, what does it mean? It means 100 gram. This is equivalent to 100 gram. So 1 gram mole is equivalent to the gram molecular mass. You have to just cram this thing. You have to just learn this thing. So 1 gram mole of CaCO3, 1 gram mole of CaCO3, that is 100 gram. 1 gram mole. So this one is equal to 1 mole. So this is equal to 6.023 10 raised to power 23 molecules. So we can say this one is equivalent to 1 mole. This one is equivalent to 1 mole. It is given over here compound, so we will write compound. So 1 mole is equivalent to this much particles. So we will say that 100 gram of CaCO3 is equivalent to 1 mole is equivalent to 1 gram mole, or we can say 100 gram is equals to 1 mole, or we say, or when 1 mole say, it means we are having this much particles, or we can say 100 grams of CaCO3 is having this much number of molecules. This is a group of atoms. We call this one as molecules. Now next thing is how we can express the 1 gram atom element. So similarly, we say the way of expressing the thing is the language of chemistry. This is the language of that country, language of chemistry. I have given you the example of compound. Now this one is clear to you. Similarly, when we talk about the element may be a single element. When we say carbon is equivalent to 12. Carbon is equivalent to 12 gram. So what does this means? This means is similar to 1 gram atom. 1 gram atom. Remember one thing. We used 1 gram mole in terms of compound, but when we talk about the atom, we use 1 gram atom. When we talk about the element, we never ever write the mole. Over here we will write the 1 gram atom. So this one is equivalent to 1 mole atoms. So now onwards, 12 grams equivalent to 1 gram atom, or we say 12 gram is equals to 1 mole atoms. This one is also equivalent to what? 1 mole atoms equals to 6.023 particles. So we will write as 6.023 into 10 raised to power 23 atoms. 6.023 into 10 raised to power 23 atoms. In the earlier times, scientists used this word 1 gram atom instead of preferring the mole. But with the passage of time, the word 1 gram mole or atom, no doubt it's still being used, but most of the teachers use the concept of mole. Now it's become clear to you that what does 1 gram atom means. 1 gram atom is equals to 1 mole. 1 gram atom means this much kind of atoms. 1 gram mole means 12 gram. So these all four things are equivalent to each other. I can compare with anyone. It means 12 gram 1 mole, 12 gram this much atoms, 12 gram 1 gram atom. Okay, when we talk about the gas, what does Avogadro say? Avogadro say that when any kind of gas is enclosed in a beaker having volume of 2.2 to 4 liter, this beaker, any kind of gas if enclosed in this beaker is having the specified volume 2.4 liter, then all the gases which are enclosed, any kind of gas which is enclosed in this beaker is having a fixed value, that is 1 mole. And how many gas particles are enclosed for 1 mole? 6.023 into 10 raised to power 23. If I just enclose hydrogen in this beaker, in this container, and this container is 2.54 liter, so it means I have enclosed this much particles of hydrogen in this container. This is similar to all gases, whether I store neon, xenon or anything. So this one is the concept for the gas. When we talk about the formula mass of substance, it means formula mass of substance. This concept is basically used for ionic part. Ionic part, that means this may or may not be in your syllabus. It's all up to you, teacher. To what level teacher discuss this concept. This is an ionic part. If I am having a NaCl compound, when I just dropped into the water, it will changes into Na plus Cl minus. So what is over here? So we say they forms ions. We call this one as ion, we call this one as ion. Remember one thing, the formula NaCl does not represents the molecule. So this is the way to express the formula mass of substance. We will express in the similar way. So this one is just summarize. Next we will discuss how to solve the numerical problems with the help of mole concept. Now let's talk about the numerical part. A question is given to us that how many atoms of oxygen and hydrogen are present in 0.15 mole of water. We need to calculate the atoms of oxygen and hydrogen in 0.15 mole of water. You will see we will calculate the number of atoms. We can solve any difficulty of numerical with the help of this concept I have discussed just few seconds before. So we have to calculate the 0.15 mole of water. So we know that we are having the H2O. This is equals to 1 mole. H2O is having the 18 grams. This is a kind of molecule. This is kind of compound. Compound is equals to 1 gram mole, or we will write as 1 mole. So 1 mole is given to us. 1 mole compound is given to us. So this is equivalent to what? It means it is having 2 H atoms plus O. 2 H atoms plus O. So what does 2H means? It means a single atom is given to us. So 1 gram atom multiplied by 2 is 2 gram atom. So 1 mole contains 2 gram atoms. 2 grams atoms, and a single O is present, a single element is present to us as that of carbon. So we write 1 gram atom. So 1 gram atom, that is oxygen, is given to us. So what we need to calculate the number of hydrogen atoms, number of H atoms. So how we can solve this? It means 1 mole of water, 1 mole of H2O has hydrogen 2 gram atoms, 2 grams atoms. So 0.15 mole will contain 0.15 divided by 1 multiplied by 2, or we can say 2 divided by 1 multiplied by 0.15. So it will be given out 0.30 grams atoms. So this much grams atoms will contain this much. If 1 gram contains this much atoms, if 1 gram contains this much atoms, 0.30 gram will contain, we will need to multiply. So solving this next part, 0.30, we are having 0.30 grams multiplied by 6.022 into 10 raised to power 23 is equals to what? If I just use the calculator, so value will be 1.81 multiplied by 10 raised to power 23 atoms. These are the atoms present in H2O molecule in 0.15 mole number of H atoms. If you just take a look at the oxygen atoms. Oxygen atom is 1 gram mole. So we say 1 mole contains 1 gram atoms. So 0.15 mole we will do similar way with the as we did in the hydrogen. So in case of oxygen, how many atoms of oxygen are? Say 1 mole contains 1 gram atom. So 0.15 mole contain will be 1 divided by 1 multiplied by 0.15. So it will be 0.15 gram atom. So if I just say 1 gram atom will contain this much atoms, so 1 gram atom will contain this much atoms, then 0.15 gram atoms will contain 0.15 multiplied by 6.023 into 10 raised to power 23. Similarly, we will get the answer as that of hydrogen. Our next question is, how many atoms of Na present sodium present in 143 gram of washing soda? Here is the formula for washing soda. Here is the molar mass given to us. To solve this numerical, we need to calculate the how many atoms of sodium. Okay, so we will use the same concept as we discussed before. We have already calculated the molar mass by adding their respective atomic masses. So we say this one is the mass. If I just place washing soda instead of calcium carbonate, I will write 286 over here. So 286 grams will contain 1 gram mole. So how we can write it? So here will be the answer. So we say that it is analogous to, it is similar to that of calcium carbonate. 100 gram will contain 1 gram mole. So this is a kind of compound, this is a compound, this is a compound. So 1 gram mole of compound means this whole value, this whole equivalence. So we will say that 286 gram of washing soda is equals to 1 gram mole, is equivalent to 1 gram mole. So 143 gram will contain 1 upon 286 multiplied by 143. Overall value will become out to be 1.5 gram mole. if 1 gram mole contains this much atoms, then 0.5 mole contains, yes, we will multiply. You are on a right path. That if 1 gram mole contain this much particles, 6.023 multiply by 2. Why I have multiplied by 2? Because two sodiums are present. So this will be value. Okay, so for 0.5 mole, so 0.5 gram mole will have 0.5 gram mole will have, we will multiply by 0.5. So we will get the number of atoms participating in 143 gram of washing soda. This is whole concept. Another thing we discuss, we have another numerical that calculate the number of moles in 392 gram of H2SO4. The second part is 44.8 liter of SO2 at NTP. Here SO2 is acting as gas, and this number of molecules of oxygen, we need to calculate the moles. That how we can solve this numerical? We will solve this numerical with the similar method as we discussed before. So how we can do? We can do in the similar way using this logic. This one is the excess of difficulty. Using this concept you can solve any kind of difficulty. We are having the answer, but what we need to do is we need to calculate the moles. So we are having the moles, we are having the molecular mass. So if I just place H2SO4 over here, the overall H2SO4 molecular mass will be, molar mass, or we can say molecular mass will be 98 grams if I just add their respective atomic masses. So using this concept, it means that the 98 gram of H2SO4 sulfuric acid is equals to 1 mole. If I just write H2SO4 instead of CaCO3, it will be, how we can define it? We can define it with the 98 grams is equals to 1 mole. So 1 gram is equals to how much? 1 divided by 98. This is the well-defined mathematics. This is the way of solving this numerical. You will have to learn this method. If you not understand, you will have to cram this way. Otherwise you are not able to continue with the chemistry. It will become difficult for you. So next what we need to do is 392 grams will contain, so 198 multiplied by 392. Solving this we will get the 4 moles is the answer. Next we are having the second part is 44.8 liter of SO2. 44.8 liters of SO2 at NTP. When I just calculate the molecular mass of SO2, adding the respective masses. Oh, okay. Here NTP, normal temperature pressure. So here is the SO2 is a kind of gas. So we will use this concept. This much amount of liter of gas we call as 1 mole. So what we need to calculate the number of moles. It means that this is for all gases. This is for all gases, 22.4 liters. So how we can write it? So we can write it as 22.4 liter means 1 mole of SO2. We are talking about SO2 over here. 1 liter will contain 1.22.4 liter. So how many? 44.8 liters contains? 44.8 liters contains 1.22.4 multiplied by 44.8. On solving this numerical, we will get the answer of 2.0 mole. So this one is the another. You must have to look out for when you're going to attempt the question. You must have to look out for whether it is a gas, it is a particles or whether it is a gram molecular mass. So you are able to do the numericals. The third one is we are having the calculate the number of moles in this much amount of molecules. So how we can solve this? So we know that when this much amount of molecules get together, we called it as 1 mole. So we say that 6.023, or we can say 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23 molecules of O2 is equals to 1 mole. So given value is, okay, here very question value is 22. So 1 molecule contains 1 molecule is to 1 divided by 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23. So 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 22 atoms will contain how many moles? 1 divided by 6.02 into 10 raised to the power 23 multiply by, we will multiply this value into 10 raised to the power 22. So overall 0.1 mole will be the answer. You can use the calculator also. 1.1 mole. 0.1 mole. This is whole about the mole concept. If you follow this whole concept, you are able to solve any kind of difficult numerical. There will be no difficulty for you. Thank you for the lecture.